Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to podcast Room 303. I'm your host, Jermaine Colon Mendez. This is my co-host, Nicholas Moorhan. And on today's very special edition, episode 163, we'll be doing a 2022 year in review. We have special guest Jason Escudero and special guest Luis Orozco, otherwise known as Bum A and Bum B. They'll be joining us for this. They also have a podcast. Let's get that out of the way. So let's throw to you. How are you doing this evening, Luigi?
Doing good, man. Gonna shout out Revenge of the Pod here and now so that we can get that over with. Check us out on that pod if you're interested in any of the stuff that we have to say.
Well, what do you guys do? Why should I listen? Luigi, that's the worst business pitch ever.
All right, fair enough. I'll go into it. We do pretty much nerd culture, pop culture, a lot of heavy movie stuff, but we also go pretty deep into Marvel. Jason is a big Star Wars guy, so we always hit Star Wars.
Nerd.
Anything that's anything that's like pop culture relevant at the time, we try to at least hit it a little bit. So you'll hear a little bit of sports, a little bit of other music things, but mostly it's movies and shows that we talk about to keep you guys updated.
Who is that? Your dog, or is that Nick's dog that's barking right now?
It's not my dog.
That is my pooches. Yeah, they're outside right now.
All right, how you doing this evening, Jason?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Thank you for bringing me onto the show. Nick, if I'm not mistaken, man, I'm pretty sure you're a Star Wars fan too, right?
I dabble.
It sounds like every time I listen to your guys' episode, it seems like you're a pretty good, huge fan.
I dabble. I'm more into lifting weights, you know?
Yeah. I feel that.
You're so dreamy. You're so dreamy.
Yeah.
Opening beer with my teeth.
He's mad because I threw to you guys first, and he always gets the first throw, and so now he's jumping in trying to get his speaking lines. So how are you doing this evening, Nick?
I'm good, man. This is the start of something great in terms of more people. More people need to start podcasting, at least among our friends, because all of our friends have opinions. It's good to see between you, Jay Bird, and Luigi, somebody who finally stopped talking about doing something and actually ended up doing something. In terms of podcasting, you know, Jermaine and I have been doing this for a very long time, like pre-COVID long, like back when the world was normal.
Yeah, before everyone lost their mind.
Before everybody lost their mind. But no, it's really good to see, and I hope that this will continue in the future. So welcome to Room 303, the first of many collaboration episodes.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
I got a little bit of a bone to pick, though. Maybe I need to listen to Revenge of the Pod a little bit more.
You might.
But my co-hosts have been featured on Revenge of the Pod multiple times.
No, just once for me.
And I know both of you have my cell phone number. And yet, through my constituents here, Jermaine and Eric, I was told that I can come on the show, but I'd have to listen to the podcast to see when I would be on the show.
I mean, that seems like a pretty fair. I don't know.
I listen to every episode. I'm an avid listener. I love you guys' pod. The previous couple ones, I think you guys are from your first episodes. You know, we're always growing, right? And I think you guys are just every episode I'm listening to, you guys are just doing way better personally because you guys are just meshing together a lot more, and I love seeing it.
Well, the last two have been great. The last two have been amazing.
Have they?
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't quite know, the last two episodes did not feature a certain executive producer with a big old Philly hat. He decided to he's dead again. So we'll resurrect him. He's like Puss in Boots, though. He's running out of lives.
There it is.
I felt that hurt though, J Man, on the last pod about the World Cup final, and I will say this: it definitely is the best game I have ever seen. It might be the best game ever, like you were saying in your pod, in that episode that I listened to today. Just everything that it was just insane. Like there's nothing compares to it. And I totally agree. I think what Luigi was trying to say was just other memorable games, right?
100%.
They don't compare.
But the scale is not there, though. The scale is not there.
100% agree.
4 billion people. 4 billion people watched. That's not who engaged. Right? That's not people who talked about it on the internet. That's not people who text me and said, fuck, I wish I didn't miss that game. Like 4 billion people. This was the second biggest soccer game in just the United States. Right? So this is the second most watched soccer game in U.S. history.
Dude, like people woke up at 7 a.m. just to go to a bar to watch this game.
Yeah, but we're degenerates. We love our alcohol.
Yeah. It was nice to see other people though, right?
if bars would be open at 7 a.m. to watch sports, I'll go watch 3rd division curling.
Bro, if there was a sport on that I want to watch, I will go to a bar.
And
right?
drink. Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, we've all tailgated, we've all been there bright and early, getting the grill out, cold weather. Yeah, so this was good. Nick actually had a point that we didn't get to on the podcast for the World Cup. So before we get into the year in review, do you want to talk about that point, or you just want to let it die and no one will ever know?
What was the point I made?
Look at the deer in headlights look. He doesn't even know what point he made. You wanted to talk.
Is the point made that when Africa claimed that they won the World Cup 4 years ago, can Germany now claim that they've won another World Cup? Is that the point that I'm trying to make?
No, that's not the point. You were trying to say that Morocco wouldn't have made this run.
Oh, right. Yeah, so it kind of didn't. One of the things, Jermaine to end the last podcast ended it very eloquently. Ended it very eloquently in saying what that final meant and what kind of a game soccer is to the world. So it wasn't really a good time for me to jump in with my thought to be like, yeah, but also, right?
I lift weights.
Yeah, also, I had this thought as well to ruin the thing that Jermaine just said. So now you get my opinion afterwards. I was pretty disappointed. The World Cup is not the playoffs in sports. It's not the Premier League. It's not the Champions League. I don't need to see upsets every year. I want to see the best 16 teams, the best 8 teams, the best 4 teams, the best 2 teams in the world play each other. And for years and years and years, we have seen that in the World Cup. It's why we talk about the Germanys, the Spains, the Italys, the Frances, the Brazils, because they make it continuously to semifinals and finals. It's what they do. This tournament felt a little rushed, and this is why I counted none of the upsets. Like Korea made it out of their group. Japan made it out of their group. Okay, right? Most of the players on Japan, most of the players on Korea, most of the players on Saudi Arabia don't have those big domestic leagues that they're playing 2 to 3 matches a week. Champions League, domestic cups, domestic leagues, other dumbass practices and stuff that's going on. If the point that I made to Jermaine after the show was this Morocco thing is almost not, it's impressive, but imagine if you had a summer World Cup. All teams got 6 weeks of training. They got that bonding. They got they got the camaraderie. They got to learn the coach's tactics. And Morocco made this run. Aside from Leicester City's run in the Premier League, like the Premier League title, it may have been the greatest run in all of history. That Morocco went on this run and beat the teams they did.
For sure. And I agree with you on that as well. That, 6 weeks to 2 months of training, drastically changes chemistry, play style, set pieces, and
injuries.
Injuries, yeah. And so
A guy can come into a national, like, think about this. A guy can come into a national team camp in May. He can get treated by national team doctors, which are the best doctors in that country. And in 6 weeks, if you give him 6 weeks, if you give him 2 months, there's not a lot of injuries that he wouldn't have been selected for the World Cup for, that he can't recover for. If there's an injury that's more than 2 months, he's probably not getting selected for the World Cup squad in general.
Yeah. Like Kareem Benzema would have been able to play. Right. Let's go. Bulls just won.
Mane's probably able to play, right?
Mane definitely is able to play.
Timo Werner is able to play. Not that he would do anything because he's a bum.
What were you saying, Jason?
Just the whole fact, like you guys were saying, like the France team was injured, but they're that stacked of a squad that they were able to make it to the World Cup final. Like we forget that those players were missing. Pogba, Benzema, I'm not an avid watcher, but from what I heard, like how many players were missing from it, and the fact that they're going to be fine.
Our world
only 23 years old, like you guys were saying, like dude, they're going to be great, dude.
Bro,
it's going to be insane. They're going to be running that shit for a while.
Every bar with a big championship, right? Every bar with a championship, there's a white guy who continuously says something to justify bad play of another team, right? I was that guy during the France-Argentina final who was like, the French camp had to be separated 48 hours ago because they had the flu. And I was that guy that was like turning to random people and be like, imagine how good the French would be playing right now if they didn't have the flu 48 hours ago.
What was it, like a stomach flu? Like, did they eat something bad?
Yeah, they had to separate the whole.
No, I don't think it was stomach. I think it was actual flu. There was a big like bout with respiratory illness in Qatar for the fans and everything like that. So, what's his name? The reporter that died, Grant Wall.
Yeah.
R.I.P. the legend. He had a respiratory illness, and they were treating him for bronchitis. Before he ended up ultimately passing away. So, but this is not a World Cup episode. We've now discussed it for another 13 minutes, and we would be willing to discuss it for another 60 minutes if you would allow us. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to wrap up the 2022 year in review. And what better way to do it than with some pop culture experts, or self-proclaimed like Skip Bayless, Luigi and Jason. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen, and we'll go through. So this format's going to be a little bit different. We're going to each present our picks, as you can see on the screen, already written down, and then we'll ultimately select one movie that we think embodies the whole of 2022, and that's the movie that we will give the roomie to. So for those of you who are uninitiated, we like to hand out roomies every year. And the roomies go to categories with awesome things that we enjoy doing. Podcasts, books, well, some of us, movies, shows, music, and the likes. And as we continue to do this, more and more categories will present themselves. But for the time being, we have 10 selections, and we're going to go ahead and get right into it. So we'll throw it to Luigi first for best movie, and then Jason will go for the next category, and then Nick will go, and we'll start, and we'll just follow that kind of sequence. All right. So, as I've just alluded to, Luigi, you have the podium. Let us hear about your two choices for best movie.
So what do I do right now? Just wanted to see your face. I'm sorry. Oh, anyway, so the best picks for me would definitely be Everything Everywhere All at Once is my number one choice, and All Quiet on the Western Front. I want to give that a submission because, man, All Quiet on the... We'll talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once because I know someone else has that pick as well. But All Quiet on the Western Front is an epic World War I film. It's actually a remake of a 1930s film, which is like a book to film. Yeah, from the 1930s as well. It is It's jaw dropping. It's a different side of war that you don't see in the movies. I think anyone who likes war movies should definitely watch this film. It's very well made, very well acted. I think the only problem you might have is if you're not someone who likes reading in films, it is a foreign film. So unless you're German, you will have to read subtitles. It's not that big a deal, though. I think it does not take away from the movie at all. Highly recommend that one.
Yeah, and also, if you don't like reading subtitles, grow up.
we're not in middle school anymore.
You're gonna have to watch foreign films. Grow up.
Yo, I am that guy that
grow
puts
up
subtitles on for even English films.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Dude,
like, what do you say?
Started doing that now. I've started doing that now.
If you do not have a good speaker system, right? If you don't have a sound bar that has 3 channels, right? It needs minimum 3 channels because 1 channel is dedicated purely to voice. You're going to struggle to hear the way they mix. You're going to struggle to hear dialogue, right? And if you're watching a movie like All Quiet on the Western Front, dialogue's pretty fucking important. Putting subtitles on is perfectly fine. I put on subtitles. I was watching Sonic Prime this week. I had subtitles on it. I also do it sometimes because if I want to hear the name and know how to spell that name, I'm not going to just know it by hearing it because every language decides to just pick a random letter and make it silent. Here's looking at you, fucking Eastern Europe. You fucking jackanapes with your K's and your C's and your Z's. But I'll have to check out All Quiet on the Western Front. I haven't seen it yet. But when I saw that pop up, because it's relatively new, right? It came out on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think during Thanksgiving it came out.
Okay. When I saw it pop up on my feed, I was just like, yo, I thought I've seen this movie before, but this looks completely different. So I'm glad that you guys said that it is a remake, and I do remember the books, so that's why I was like ultra confused. I was like, I'll eventually watch it, but now that there's a little more context, I'll go ahead and get into that one. And World War I is, I feel like everyone obsesses with World War II, for obvious reasons, but World War I feel like it's just a treasure trove of like actual stories that you can tell. In my opinion.
Totally agree. And it still focuses on Germany, right? But man, it's just a different take on Germany. And you don't have this whole, you can root for them because they're not fucking Nazis. You know what I mean? You're like,
not yet.
Not yet. They haven't taken the turn yet. But yeah, it's highly recommended, man. Like I obsess over that movie now, so I definitely want some more people to watch it and let me know what they think.
Awesome. All right, so as everyone can see, if you're watching us on YouTube at Podcast Room 303, please like, subscribe. Jason also has a similar pick to Luigi. Let's go ahead and get into Jason's discussion. Go ahead, Jason.
So I went with Everything Everywhere All at Once for my first pick. And I think it was just the better multiverse movie from another multiverse movie that we had this year, right? The Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it, just comedic wise, and just everything that they were, a mother-daughter,
Spoilers are allowed.
Spoilers are allowed. Okay, yeah. Just, her being the actual villain and
I haven't seen it.
I know you have. I don't know, man. It was just kind of everything I wanted in the film. It was action-packed. There was moments where, between the mother and the daughter, there was a lot of diversity to it, it being an Asian film, and bringing back the kid from the Goonies, man. Like, we haven't seen him in a film in a long time. It was great, dude. For it being that long of a movie, I enjoyed it, and I loved it, and I could watch it again. I watched it again when it came out, able to watch it on TV. So, I mean, not much more I can say about it. I know we talked about it. I know you guys enjoyed it, but I know you guys wouldn't put it at your top one, but I think it's going to win a lot of Oscars.
I didn't like it better than Multiverse of Madness, but Multiverse of Madness is a horror film, right? And that's what I loved about Multiverse of Madness. You know, and diversity is not important to me anymore. I've just been beat over the head with it that I really don't give a fuck, because just because Tom Cruise is white doesn't mean I don't think I could have been Tom Cruise when I was a kid. So I always hate that argument. That's dumb as hell. I thought I was the shit when I watched Mission Impossible movies, jumping off everything I could, like thinking I could suspend from the rafters, even though that dude had like significant amounts of gear and money. But like that argument always just drives me nuts. If you can't relate to female characters, if you can't relate to male characters unless they're your race, that's crazy, because I fucking love Kim Possible, and that's a fucking cartoon, and she's the shit. Right? Well, that's a girl.
I did relate to this movie, though, just because you have two parents working hard in the laundromat, just doing everything they can so their daughter can have a good life. And you kind of just forget about your daughter being in a relationship, and like the daughter being scared to tell her grandpa that she, has a girlfriend and not a boyfriend. Like, I've seen that in my family, and we're not Asian.
Yeah, so, and that speaks to
I feel like I connect to
experience.
It. Yeah, I think that's what it was for me that I really enjoyed about it, and just like the parents forget so much of like they're trying to do everything they can just so their kids can have a better life, but sometimes they kind of forget about enjoying the moments that you have with your kid, and I felt that personally, and I think that's why I connected to it so much.
Yeah, and that's relatable across the board, though. So go ahead, Luigi.
Yeah, not just Asian. Yeah, you're right. So
one of the biggest things, I mean, there's several things I love about this film, but one of the biggest things that I appreciated from the film was its ability to really deep dive into how you can expect your life to be a certain way and then be disappointed in it. But at the end of the day, I mean, the lesson she learns in the movie is it is your choice to make what you will out of what you have. Like, if you choose to be miserable all the time, that's on you. It's not anyone else's choice. It is on you. And it takes her entire lifetime in this crazy experience to finally realize, like, oh no, I'm the one who's got the problem. I'm the one who needs to change, and I'm the one who needs to understand my daughter better. I'm the one who ruins my family and poisons it. I am becoming everything I didn't want to be. And it's just, I mean, the way she gets there is just amazing in itself, because it's so original. It has so many experimental things that they do in that movie that you don't see in films normally, even in other multiversal films like Multiverse of Madness, right? Because the comparisons are going to be there just because they're multiverse movies.
Which is dumb. They're nowhere near the same fucking movie at all.
Yeah, they just tackle one concept that's the same. So people
how dare they? All right, so before we beat this one into a dead horse, we've got a lot of topics to discuss. So give us a quick overview of Prey and Maverick, Jason, and then we'll hand it over to Nick.
Prey is like the prequel, the start to Predator, and it gives you everything that you want, man. It gives you Predator just fucking up some, a bear, a wolf, a snake. And it happened during when the French were trying to take over and fighting against the natives. So he's fucking up both of them at the same time, and it just gave me everything that you wanted, like everything in a Prey movie. I was not expecting it to be that great, and it gave me everything I wanted. Same thing with Maverick, way better than the 80s version.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know, no. Nick. I'm sorry, but it was, dude. It was.
Nick, did you see it as a kid, though?
The whole concept is dumb from a military operations standpoint. Why are you going to leave if you're a coastal nation? Why are you leaving the one canyon that leads straight through your land undefended by air defense weapons?
You
are an island nation.
It's just a movie.
It's not just a movie. It's dumb. You're building a nuclear bomb. Defend it with some air defense weapons on the coast. That's out.
That's too logical, sir. Too logical. Yeah,
not only that, they took cadets at an academy to do this operational mission.
Why is Hangman cool? He's not cool. You're flying a 2-seater aircraft with one person. That doesn't make you cool. That makes you stupid.
With that being said, I still loved Maverick.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. When you turn your brain off, it's a fun movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what movies are about, right? Turn your brain off and just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride.
You got
My favorite part of the movie, strangely enough, was Tom Cruise as a test pilot. Like at the beginning, I was all in on that. I was like, "This is amazing."
We're trying to get like Mach something, Mach 10 or something like that.
Yeah,
I got to be honest with you guys. You can't survive a Mach 10 crash.
bro.
Nobody's surviving that.
Okay, have you seen the Have you seen the Die Hard movies, Nick?
Yes.
Okay, so then if you're arguing that, then you can't enjoy the Die Hard movies. The shenanigans that happens in those movies is unreal, bro.
I have a question about Prey. Well, more a comment. How angry do you think like the grandson of the Predators in Prey were? Because they've been hearing you got to think like every 10, 25 years the Predators are visiting Earth, right? And they're just fucking people up. And then there's got to be that one Predator that shows up when they start getting machine guns, and he's like, "What the fuck is this shit?" He was like, "Dad said they just had black powder rifles, and that was easy." And all of a sudden you're getting hit with machine guns. You gotta be like, or the poor Predator that shows up when Arnold Schwarzenegger gets his hold on a minigun.
Yeah,
the hardest thing I thought was a grizzly bear. Right, it was some type of animal.
Right.
That's a great point. that Predator is not remembered fondly. He's the black sheep of the family.
Right. He couldn't even kill the humans. They're like, they had machine guns, Dad.
All right, so Nick has RRR Rise, Roar, Revolt.
Yeah, so a Telugu movie, right, which is kind of, I believe it's northern India. It's basically Bollywood-esque movie. It's just a purely entertaining movie. It's another foreign film. You got to put subtitles on. It's a bit ridiculous, but it's just it has everything you want. It has action scenes. It has dancing scenes. It has romance scenes. It has car chases. It has special effects. Is
this a multiverse movie? It has everything.
No,
I know. Does it have two rocks talking to each other?
Speaking of suspension of disbelief, the intro to this movie to one of the characters is he grabs a guy from a crowd of literal hundreds and beats a bunch of people in the crowd to get to him. I'm like, there is no way on earth this would happen. But when you're watching, you are rooting for his ass. You're like, get his ass.
Yeah.
And you probably shouldn't be because he's not a good character. But anyway, as you were, Nick.
The only con in this movie is even if you are invested in this movie, it took me multiple sittings to finish it.
It's like The Irishman.
I think it did. I think Luigi's right. I think it did take me 3 settings to watch this movie. Because it gets to the point where it gets ridiculous. Luigi, Jason and Jermaine, you guys haven't seen this movie yet, have you?
No, I barely heard about it today.
Luigi, have you got to the train crash part on the bridge?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Suspension of disbelief,
right.
As we were talking.
That is definitely something you need in this movie, and really something you need with every Bollywood movie, to be honest.
But it gets you. It's just 3 hours, so I'm an hour 10 minutes in. I'm going to be finishing that tonight, but yeah, it is very entertaining already.
Right.
Sounds good to me. All right, so and then that brings it to me. I'm gonna have to check out these All Quiet on the Western Front and RRR, but I have one submission from early on in the year. Scream. I love the franchise. For those of you unfamiliar, it is a love letter to horror films, and so they really lean into tropes, and it's fucking amazing when they do. This one was tragic because my boy, Officer Dewey, R.I.P.
Oh, damn.
You haven't seen it yet?
No, but it's okay.
Bro.
Yeah, I've never seen any of the Scream films.
You had a year, bro.
I did. You're not wrong. I was like, oh.
None of the Scream films, Luigi?
Not a single one, no.
Not even. What?
I've been trying to get him to watch them too. I've been telling him.
Hey, they're good. I think Scream 3 was kind of rough, but for the most part, they're all pretty good. Even Scream 3 I enjoyed just because it capped off the trilogy. I mean, they have some great actors in it as well. So it's definitely.
I hear they're a great parody of slashers. Like, they make fun of it in the movies and it works really well. So I'm like, I need to watch this. I don't know why I haven't.
So the way they do it is awesome because like someone always breaks down the rules of a slasher film, right? You don't separate from the pack. You always, you turn the light, like all the different tropes about it. But someone breaks it down in the film and then tells you, oh yeah, the killer is probably someone related to, and then boom, like there's the ominous turn. The camera snaps to the main character, and it's really nail on head kind of trope discussions, but it works. Awesome. It is amazing. If you ever enjoyed the original slashers, this was like the perfect next thing to do with it. And there's a new one coming out. It looks kind of dumb, in my opinion. Just the premise on it, like it's just them in New York City. But it was just a teaser trailer, so we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna watch it, and it's gonna be amazing. So there's like a few franchises that if they make a movie, I'm gonna go watch it. It's Transformers, Fast and Furious, Scream. Like, I will watch every single one of those, knowing full well they will not be that great, but I will thoroughly enjoy them. And then Don't Worry, Darling. One of the funny things to just know about is there was so much behind the scenes drama between the entire cast of this movie, right? Just heavy hitting actors in Hollywood and a heavy hitting director. And it kind of added to it, the desire to want to go watch this movie, right? But I had no effing clue what this film was about. And the reveal at the end, wait, has everyone seen it before I spoil it again?
No.
Okay.
I want to see it.
All right, so I will not lean into what it's actually about. But it's this couple, they are introduced into this community, and there's a community of all these couples, right? And all the husbands work together and all the women stay home, and they do the kind of 1950s style vibe. But then things slowly start to come off the rails, and the thread gets pulled and pulled even further. And if you love Florence Pugh, she absolutely kills it in this role. And the reveal at the end is just wild. I was just like, did not see this coming. It put such a dark spin on the whole movie, and the way it ended was awesome. So that's all I'm going to say. Luigi has a comment on it. I know you've seen it, right, Luigi?
I have not, but from what I understand, it just reminded me a lot of Stepford Wives.
It has that 2000s
feel. Movie. Okay.
It has that feel, but it's imagine that, but with 2022 experiences. Internet, technology, the feel of today's society, the expectations of a man and a woman, and that kind of stuff. The costume design, the set design, the choices for cars, all really, really well done. Yeah, I'd highly recommend watching this movie. It's a fantastic movie. Harry Styles kills it. Chris Pine kills it. Florence Pugh kills it. Olivia Wilde stars and directs. Fantastic movie. But so that one probably
wasn't. I heard, if correct me if I'm wrong, but Shia LaBeouf was supposed to play the role of Harry Styles.
I think he was originally directed.
Go ahead.
No, he was originally cast,
Yeah, and apparently, sorry, I think I'm gonna have a lag. But yeah, apparently, like maybe Olivia Wilde was dating Harry Styles, so that's why she casted him. But I heard he did a great job, so what does it matter? I don't know. I heard, like you said, this whole controversy about this film is wild. All the behind the scenes action on it.
So I never really read,
just trying to get it in.
I never really read into the drama. I just remember seeing Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine, and Chris Pine did not react and hit him in the face, which he should have done. So I was just like, well, I gotta watch this movie. I gotta watch this movie now. Like, what the hell is going on? I did not regret it. All right, so let's get to. We have to select one from this list, and I don't think everyone's seen all the movies. So I think everyone's seen Maverick, though.
Guess Maverick's gonna win.
Yeah.
That would not be my pick, but sure.
No, of course not. Top Gun, Maverick is the choice. All right,
Just by default.
just by default. If no one's seen it, how can we vote? So I was kind of going to scrap the voting initially, but Top Gun, Maverick, congratulations, you get the Roomie for best movie this year. Moving in to best show, Jason, go ahead, take it away.
I'm gonna go with House of Dragon for one of my picks. And keep in mind, guys, I did not watch Game of Thrones at all. Watching House of Dragon.
There's a reason you picked House of Dragon, then.
Well, see, so I liked House of Dragon so much after the end of season 1 that I am actually going back into watching Game of Thrones. I'm in season 3 and I love it. Yo, man, just
Just
the
wait,
character.
my friend. Just wait.
I know, I've heard, but I was like, you know what? I'm ready for it. I'm gonna be disappointed at the end. I actually know who takes the throne, so I'm okay with it. We've all seen Game of Thrones, so there's actually Jermaine. Now we can talk about it a little bit. I'm in season 3, episode 5. There's a scene where what's that one punk name kid, Joffrey? He says, "Oh, look, this are the remains of Rhaenyra Targaryen when she was eaten by that dragon. That's all that's left of her." I was like, "Oh shit!" So Rhaenyra Targaryen gets eaten by a dragon. Cool. Now I know that going into House of Dragon. It was just great, man. You start hating some characters in the beginning and just the development of it, and you're like, oh, I actually kind of like this guy, even though he's kind of a douchebag, right? I don't know, man. It's just it's a great show.
The ending is amazing, Jason. Don't let anyone sway you otherwise. It was just rushed. That was the only flaw. That was the only flaw with the ending. But
Yeah.
You'll start to realize that the theme of Game of Thrones, and we'll discuss it later when you're much further. I don't want to say it now, but
I appreciate it.
The ending was the most nail on the head ending. But those dudes, they got awarded a Star Wars trilogy, and they wanted out. And HBO did not want to end the series. They wanted to end the series, so they crammed all that stuff into 7 episodes. It was unfortunate. And then they ended up not getting the trilogy because they fucking rushed the final season. So it's kind of like, hey, damned if you do, damned if you don't. All right, take us into Andor. I did not like House of Dragon, by the way.
Oh, you didn't? Oh,
Nor did I.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Nothing happened.
Yeah, dude, I stopped watching.
It was a season of nothing happening.
I'm all about dialogue, so I mean, and character development. So I enjoyed it personally.
In my opinion, the dialogue wasn't even that good.
I mean, you guys watched all of Game of Thrones, so maybe you guys are used to that. But I personally loved it. Andor, it's a Star Wars prequel to Rogue One, and it follows Cassian Andor, and just pretty much how the start of the rebellion came about. And that also started off pretty slow, but towards the end, it was just pretty amazing, man. And honestly, I didn't feel like I was watching the Star Wars series. There's a lot of monologues and just a lot of like, hey, rebellion and just totally against the government. When you see that they're doing something wrong, they know the risks that they're taking, but they're willing to do that. So for their future kids and stuff can maybe live a better life. I loved all the tropes to it, man. It was truly amazing.
Yeah, I haven't finished Andor, but from what I've seen so far, this show seems like it's going to be very, very good.
Some of the best monologues I've heard on TV.
It's not going to be as awesome as Obi-Wan. I know that people love to bash Obi-Wan, but that show is outstanding. And the one difference is there's Jedi in Obi-Wan. So
Loved Obi-Wan.
But speaking of Andor, have you heard of the sequel that they're doing to Rogue One?
I have not.
It's going to be directed by George Lucas. It's called A New Hope, and it was released in 1977.
Oh.
Oh yes, I have heard whispers about that, about George Lucas doing that project. It's gonna set him on the map.
Luigi's so mad.
You got me there.
Oh boy, I couldn't resist. All right, Nick, take us into the terminal list. Who stars in this? I've never even heard of this.
This is Chris Pratt.
Oh, I'm in.
It's an Amazon Prime show.
That's why I never heard of it.
About Chris Pratt is a naval special warfare development group. He might actually just be a regular team guy. He's a team guy who basically in the first episode, their team gets ambushed, basically on an op gone wrong, bad intel or something like that.
Can't be development group then.
Chris Pratt ends up hitting his head. And for the first half of the series, if you guys want to watch it, I will try to be as vague as possible. But for the first half of the series, probably the first 60% of the series, it is shot and directed so well and acted so well that you are questioning what you've seen so far in the series.
Yo, that's dope.
And the way that it's shot like a regular a regular series, and then they'll go back and they'll show you the same scene but from different people's perspective, and you're like, oh man, maybe Chris Pratt. Maybe Chris Pratt is going crazy. And there was, I love a good show. I love a good show or a movie in Hollywood that can take the normal tropes like we've been talking about, lead you down a path, and then hit you with a shovel on top of the head, right? And be like, nope, that's not where we were going. And there is an episode in the terminal list where it ends, I believe it's episode 3 or 4, it ends, and I legitimately put my hand on my head and I went, maybe Chris Pratt is the bad guy of this show.
What have I been watching?
Yeah, I was like, man, I've been rooting for Chris Pratt, and he's kind of being a fucking dickhead right now. So,
I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yeah, it's a really great show. It's action based. It's everything you want. It's kind of like a good detective show. It's a good thriller. It's a good it's everything you want. It's everything that a good movie, like a good thriller movie, should have, but it's spread over 8 episodes. So you're like, so you don't ever you're never wanting more from like a movie.
Got it. So I have the bear, and so this show has Lip from Shameless. I forget his actual real name. I think he's a terrific actor. One of the reasons why I actually hit play on the show. But it follows the story of a well-educated chef, in high-profile kitchens, who comes back to Chicago to run a cheesesteak shop that his brother ultimately left to him. And one of the best parts about watching this show is the way the director is able to capture this chaotic energy at all times throughout it, almost as if he is literally sitting in a high-profile kitchen where everyone has their stations and they're running back and forth and everyone's yelling, yes, chef, no, chef, maybe, chef, fuck off, chef, right? And they're able to capture that energy at all times in the show, whether they are in the kitchen or not. Every character feels unique. They don't feel forced on you. It feels very Chicago. Obviously, another reason why I love the show. But in the payoff at the end, where the characters kind of got this come up, and it's like, oh, it makes you feel good and makes you look forward to what they could possibly do next with the show. The acting's phenomenal. I thought the script was phenomenal. The beats they had for a comedic value, like where they put all these kids to sleep because somebody accidentally spikes the punch bowl with what is it?
The Ghostbusters punch.
Is it
Yeah.
is it Xanax? They put is Xanax make you sleepy?
Yeah.
Yeah, they spilled
Enough of
Xanax. Yeah, enough of it. So they put Xanax into it. The kids were all crushed on the floor, and the dad of the kid whose party was throwing it, who's just like, I like this.
Yeah, he's like, he wasn't even mad. He's like, yo, man, I messed up.
Yeah.
This is kind of nice.
He's like, this is nice. And if you ever had a party for kids, you could totally agree with that beat. And I just enjoyed that show a lot. It didn't overstay its welcome. That's one of the reasons why I enjoyed it very much more than most shows. And look forward to see what they do next. Obviously, my next choice is Stranger Things. Enough said. It is that popular for a reason. I used to push back on it, but I hadn't seen it yet. I was just like, can it really be that good? 4 seasons later, it is that good. I love the nod to D&D. I'm a big time nerd, so that's right up my alley. And yeah, I think it's fantastic. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss it over to you, Luigi. Just give us a rundown. We've already covered the bear, obviously.
Thank you, Chef. So I'm going to go into Station 11. This came out in December, January of this year. It is about an apocalypse that happens in terms of a sickness that pretty much kills over half of the population. There's no zombies, anything like that. It just kills over half the population. They aren't able to sustain the kinds of systems and infrastructure that they have. So everything kind of crumbles. And it's following the society of people that go around towns and do Shakespearean plays, and it really goes into the human connection on the show. It has a lot of character relationships that are really interesting to watch, and it's more so about people maturing into themselves and being okay with loss and being able to move on than it is about this sickness, because there is no resolution of this at the end. But it's a very, very good show. Highly recommend it. I put it on here because I didn't think anyone had seen it, so I definitely recommend it.
Never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max. Good watch. Favorite character for me is Jeevan. You'll see why if you watch it. Really good character. I'm gonna move on. You did mention the bear. That's one of my picks. I'm not gonna talk about it again, except that you grow to love all those characters. And my last pick is
even the bitchy Hispanic lady, bro.
yeah. They convince you of something with every character, and then suddenly turn it around on you, and you're like, oh, I do like you. Okay.
I was like, okay, you could be a bitch some more. Go ahead, carry on.
Touché. I'm wrong. My bad. Yeah. So that was a good one. Love, Death, and Robots. If you guys have not caught this, it is a fantastic anthology that comes out. I don't know if it's every year or every other year, but they do some really cool work with animation and have some amazing original stories. They are for adults. If you got kids, don't fucking have them watch this, because they're going to remember it in a bad way. So this is definitely an adult
series
show.
is titled that because every episode has some form of love, death, and robots.
Yeah. You know what? Most of them do. I think the only one that I didn't see with robots was Hibaro, but there was love and death in that one. Right. But yeah, highly recommend. I can't really get into that one too much because every single one is a different storyline. But highly recommend if you like anthology and animation.
Awesome. All right, time to make a vote. We've got a heavy-hitting list here. Bear, Stranger Things, House of Dragon, and/or The Terminal List, Station 11, and Love, Death, and Robots. What are you guys' thoughts? Who are we giving the roomie to?
I vote the Bear.
I vote the Bear. If there's 3 of us in there that have seen it and really enjoy it, I'm gonna go with the Bear as well. I love the Bear.
All right.
I'll acquiesce.
I wanted to give an honorable mention, though. I thought somebody was going to mention Peacemaker, so I didn't put it on there. But Peacemaker was a great watch this year, too.
I was going to, and then I just decided not to. We'll go ahead and get into best album. Let's make this one a little bit quick. Nick, to you with your staggering selection.
Hey, listen, it's not staggering, okay? Every now and then, I gotta be a basic bitch. All right, I like the PSLs when they come out. All right, those are pumpkin spice lattes for you friggin' weirdos out there who don't know what that is.
Whoa.
Sometimes I like my Adele. I like my Taylor Swift. And Midnight is a fire album. If you don't think Midnight's a fire album, oh, I'm sorry you have a good life right now. There is a song for every, if you listen to the song, then read the lyrics, then listen to the song again, there is a song on Midnight that you can relate to. And that's all I'm going to say.
I ain't going to hate on that.
I
like me some Adele, too.
I really enjoy
My girlfriend will have to agree with that. She got the record.
Oh, how manly of you.
It's
My
catchy,
girlfriend
man.
will agree with you. It's a good record.
It is. She plays it all the time, and I fuck with it, man. Yeah. It's not
all right,
bad.
Nick. I'll give it a shot.
Is Taylor Swift ever not going to be heartbroken?
No, it's not, man.
She purposefully dates people to break up with them, to write songs about them. That's what I feel like. I'm over Taylor Swift. I don't think her music's that good. So I will say that. Although I'm the minority because the world seems to be in line for $1 million tickets right now.
I mean, I'm not gonna pay $900 for a ticket. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no.
So my selection is Ecstasy by Greek. It's a 9 album, kind of soulful.
9 album?
9 tracks. Sorry, 9 tracks, soulful.
Okay.
Kind of has a kind of hip hop feel to it, but it's more house music. So it's a very blended type sound. Every time I play it, every track hits. Phenomenal. Lovers and Friends is the opening track. It's outstanding. Rewind is probably one of the bigger tracks off of it. But everything on this it's fantastic. It's got lovey-dovey feels, so it's perfect for Nick. That's my selection. It was my album of the year this year, and so I'm going to bring it here. I would wager almost nobody's heard it, though. So
have it. It's on the list now, buddy.
Yeah, it's great. Jason, I think you'll very much enjoy it.
It sounds like, when you were explaining it, I was like, that sounds like my vibe. So,
the whole album is a vibe for sure. It's not for when you're down in the dumps. So if your life's not good right now, maybe you don't want to listen to this. Just mess with you, Nick. All right, off to you, Luigi. Looks like Luigi and Jason could tag team this one. Oh, not the first time.
Hey, whoa.
Hey, definitely not.
Whoa, pause.
Only with you, Jermaine. So we both picked. We both picked Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar. Just the man keeps growing as an artist, and it's hard to ignore it, man. Overall, the entire album tells a story that's just, it's heartbreaking, but it's real, and it's something that everyone can relate to. At least most men can relate to. I know that it's, I talked to my girl about it, and she's like, yeah, I get it. It's really cool. I don't know if I can relate to it, but I understand it. And I was like, that's cool. I'll take that. That works. So it was a really interesting concept for me. What do you think, Jason?
No, I agree. Like, he tackles a lot of aspects in his life growing up, kind of like how he did with Good Kid, Mad City. He's talking about his lifestyle growing up as a kid, but like now he's talking about his lifestyle growing up with fame and having to deal with infidelity, growing up with his kid, and as a kid having to grow up with his aunt that's transitioning, having to, I said infidelity, all right, and having to and just like also not understanding like how he's rivals with other artists, and like how some of his artists companions like can have a beef and then come together, and he's like, I just don't understand that. And yeah, it's just amazing. He just, the way he tackles it and the way he approaches everything, and able to bring on other artists and kind of work together and still make it sound just unique. It was amazing to me.
Yeah.
Plus the live show was amazing.
Sonically, this album sounds amazing. And then when you actually deep dive the concepts that he's, he's wrestling with. It's all stuff that almost everyone's dealt with, and it was kind of refreshing to hear something like that coming out of hip hop, like from a creative atmosphere. It's not just, I got the biggest chain, look at my car, my house is big, my bitch's booty's big, I fucked yo bitch, and yo bitch's bitch, and yo bitch's bitch. Like it wasn't like that. Yeah, so I think I agree with you. Like this album, I didn't put it on my top 10 albums just because you don't have to state that it's one of your top 10 albums. Like this,
because it is.
This will be a classic. This will be something that you can go back and listen to. And every time you listen to this album, there is a new topic for you to discover. And man, and the way he uses his voice as another instrument on tracks, it will always forever blow my mind. So
Well said,
I think I agree with you. So pretty much mine's eliminated. So we're down to Taylor Swift and Mr. Morale, the Big Steppers. I would not be shocked if Taylor Swift won this. She's a mega icon. She's a fucking hit. How long is this album? Let me go look at this. I want to go see this.
She does have a history of winning when black artists should have won, I guess, right?
Yo, you had the best.
Yo, Luigi, I'm going to stop you.
I'm going to stop you.
You had the best album, but Taylor Swift is going to win.
I think it's like an hour or something like that.
So she had 13 songs. Okay, it doesn't overstay as welcome. 44 minutes. Okay. Yeah, it's still Taylor Swift, though. I don't know if I'll ever hit play. I respect your decision, though. All right, so it's up to you guys. Which one are we taking, Taylor Swift or Kendrick?
I say
more out
Kendrick.
for me.
It's Kendrick.
All right. I'm just going to copy. I've been typing it in. I'm like, what am I doing, bro? All right. We'll get into best song. Luigi, kick it off. Let's make this one brief, please.
All right, so this almost was my best album, but I decided to just do song. Después de la Playa by Bad Bunny. If you hear it, it goes from one like simple reggaeton beat that's slow-mo, and then it hits and turns into a merengue style reggaeton beat, and it works. It's a booty shaking song. It's gonna get girls on the dance floor. It's a lot of fun. We
know Luigi's motivation now.
Like, hey, listen to the song.
Hey, shake that thing.
And Saoko by Rosalia. If you haven't heard, the hook on this song is fantastic.
I have not heard this one.
Y'all should check it out. The hook on it is, man, I could listen to that song over and over. So those are my two picks.
I have heard that Bad Bunny song. I know exactly what you're talking about. That was a good song.
It's a good song. Yeah.
Not surprised to see that selection. All right, go ahead, Jason.
I'm gonna go with Sir. Nothing Even Matters. It's just a nice love song. Because usually Sir talks about heartbreak, so it seems like he's in love right now, and I feel that right now in that moment. So it's just a kind of a I relate to it. So it's like, I love my girlfriend. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And then I'm also going to go with Surfaces. I Can't Help But Feel. It was a great summer song, man. I was jamming to that in the summer, dude. It was just a great summer song. If you guys were looking, I feel like those are like some of the best songs, right? If you're just jamming out to in the summer, you're at the pool drinking with your friends.
J-Rock win.
Exactly.
Summer song 2018.
Exactly, dude. That's what it felt like. But it's just a nice vibe, nice something you can just that everyone can maybe enjoy. It was cool. And then I just had to throw Kendrick in there. Mirror was a very just him about saying like, hey man, I know the pandemic happened and like, hey, where was I when all this BLM stuff was happening? Like I was going through my own shit. And sometimes I have to choose myself instead of everyone around me. It's a very emotional song, so I had to put that in there. Yep.
Isn't that where he also calls out that female rapper that tried to call him out by saying like, "Where you been this whole time? I've been here."
That's another song. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mine is Goji, Glimpse of Us. Again, if you feel like being a sad boy and listening to a song, listen to it. It's a great song.
Wait, it's pronounced Goji?
Maybe.
Oh, dude, I thought this whole time was Joji.
Maybe Joji. I don't know. There's also a guy who used to play in the NFL named Julio Jones, so I don't know how to pronounce things anymore.
Yeah, no, I know. This guy was a YouTube dude, right? For a while.
I'm
maybe.
not sure. I know his
Yeah.
music's good.
Yeah. His
No,
music's
music
good.
is
This
Great
song's
pick.
good. It's all over TikTok. It's good.
Is it really
Jason,
on TikTok? I'm not
The
on
point
TikTok.
is, if you want to be sad, go listen to it. All right.
Right.
Everyone has the sad music they want to listen to when they're
You
sad.
got to.
so-
Every
I have
now
a
and then.
playlist
Yeah.
for it. I got a playlist for it.
Yeah, we all get it.
Right.
That song is good. However you say the artist's name, I think I'm staying away from it now. I think I agree that's a very good song. Glimpse of Us. Foreshadowing. All right, so I have 2 tracks. Make this quick. Ahmad Anonymous. I found this artist this year, and I can't stop listening to him. I think he's fantastic, and this song was the first song I started listening to from him. I listened to his album last year, but this song this year, fantastic. And this was my summer song because it exactly described how I felt all summer. I just didn't want to get out of bed. I was like, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to go to work. And it's catchy and it's boppy, and the hook is fantastic. So I highly recommend listening to that song. It's a great waking up ringer or alarm or whatever. Shout out Drake. And then the very next song was shared to me by a good friend of most of the podcast, Thomas. It's Could Heaven Ever Be Like This? And that title name perfectly encompasses what this song makes you feel. Because you're like, this song makes you feel so good. You're like, could heaven ever be like this? The answer is obviously yes. But it's a fun way to tackle it. And that's actually my song of the year. Could heaven ever be like this? I can play that no matter what. I'll be listening to that 7 years from now, just like J-Rock Win Summer Song 2018. Those are my top 2 tracks this year, so it was a no-brainer to put this on this list. Now, this will be a very difficult one for all of us to vote on, so I don't know if we can even vote on this one.
I haven't heard a lot of these. I want to now, but I haven't heard a lot of these, so I would have to abstain.
Let's give it to Glimpse of Us. Glimpse of Us.
Gogi.
Gogi.
Goji. I'm pretty sure.
Ho high. Ho high.
Oh, he.
Yeah, so we'll give it to that one. Everyone loves a little sad music. And we'll go ahead and keep it pushing to the very next topic. Oh. Who's messing up back there?
Somebody's getting reminded. Alexa's listening.
All right, the very next one is Best Artist. This one's relatively easy. We don't really have to talk about it. Luigi has Bad Bunny, as he just alluded to, with his Song of the Year. Jason also has Bad Bunny, but then snuck in Kendrick Lamar again, who took home the Roomie for Best Album. Nick has Taylor Swift. Fair fucking choice. She's a mega icon. She arguably may go down as one of the biggest musicians of all time. And I have 2 DJs I absolutely love this year that nobody has ever heard of. I just wanted to spotlight them and hope people go listen to them. Fred Again and Mike Nasty.
I will back Jermaine up. I saw Fred again at the Gorge this year in Seattle. He is amazing.
Yes.
Heard nothing but great things, and I did listen to that Mike Nasty album. It was pretty nasty.
Hey! Underground Flower by Mike Nasty. Outstanding. The Active EP, outstanding. He dropped another EP, which is escaping me right now. Check both those EPs out. Those 2 went down on my top 10 albums of the year. Can't say enough. But let's go ahead and get into the vote. We have 3 artists: Bad Bunny, Kendrick Lamar, and Taylor Swift. And I think I'm leaning Bad Bunny on this one.
I'm gonna go Bad Bunny just because he beat Drake in streams on Spotify. Man, he just had himself a year. And
that album took over the summer, and then he comes out in Bullet Train to top it off. That was great.
Yeah, dude, I actually really enjoyed him in Bullet Train. I ain't even gonna lie.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, Wolf, right?
When he popped up. So this one, we're gonna go ahead and let Nick start. I didn't even know you played this game. I've never played this game. I just know it was a phenomenon.
I didn't even think about that.
At the time. So we'll go ahead and let Nick start, then we'll get into the other ones. Go ahead, Nick.
All right. So I kind of had two ways to approach this category, right? I have the best game I played this year, which was a small game from a studio called, or a game from a small studio called Firewatch. If you guys have played Firewatch or haven't played Firewatch, it's on Xbox Game Pass. Go download it. It probably takes 4 hours to finish the story. It's a fantastic story. It makes, I mean, we're here to feel things, right? And it is just a fantastic story. Great artwork, great game. But that's not the game that came out in the best video game of 2022. The best video game of 2022 for me, the one that I played, is Wordle. That shit had me just guessing. Like, that shit was, like Jermaine said, a cultural phenomenon for like 2 months. And people would judge you. People would share it on social media. It became like a meme of like green boxes, and people were like, what the fuck is going on here? Right?
Yeah.
Wordle is the best game of 2022. Mainly because I didn't play God of War or Elden Ring. I never got Elden Ring, Jermaine.
Oh, what?
It never showed up.
So we paid for it and never got it?
I guess.
Man, I wonder if it's too late to say anything.
Probably. Didn't we get it like a year ago?
Listen, I never got that game.
Yeah,
yeah, that's.
Can you just send me the new one?
That's too funny. So, I took Grounded. So for those of you who don't know, Grounded is kind of like Minecraft. It's a build your own adventure, but it's more story based, where you have to go out and explore this world. It's very much Honey, We Shrunk the Kid. You're shrunken down, but then you're more Roman gladiator, where you have to fight and kill these insects to build better armor, to build better, things to build houses with, to build blacksmith stations, and so on and so forth. So very much similar to how Age of Empires works, where you're moving up the chain of sophistication and technology. This has the same thing, and the updates that they have been releasing lately actually increases the quality of life of the game. So I played it very much so when it was more in a beta form, and man, it was a nuisance to get some things done. Backpacks weren't big enough. There was no fast travel system. You had to build zip lines everywhere. And now Grounded has done a lot of things to make these better.
It's better now?
It's even better now, based on what they said. I'm willing to play it again because I didn't start it from the beginning. It's fantastic. It seems like such a simple concept, but it's so fun. The story is just absolutely bonkers. I can't recommend it enough. I built this awesome castle tree house in the game, and that was my humble abode that I always went back to. So I've had a lot of fun. And then obviously I'm going to take Pokemon Violet, a huge Pokemon stan.
I've been wanting to hear about this one.
So it's a lot of fun. It's open world. There's no transitions. You can literally just go from all around the world in just in and out of cities, except for one city, which is like the main one where your school is at. There's 3 different story modes. You have Victory Road. Everyone should be familiar with that from the first. That's where you battle the gyms, and then you battle the Elite Four, and then you battle the champion. And at the end of it, you drop your dick on the table and you say, "You're the grand champion. I'm the best Pokemon master to ever live." They had another story where you take down Team Star. That's this game's Team Rocket, but there's kind of an underlying story about don't be a bully. With that, so as an adult, I didn't really care for it, but kids are the ones who are going to be playing this. So I thought the story was fantastic from that point of view. And then there was another one where you had to track down Titans to find Herba Mystica, which is what they call it in this game, and it helps you find better Pokemon. It helps you, you can restore Pokemon's health with it and stuff. And then at the end of the game, there's an Area Zero. And it's this crater where it's like super impossible for anyone to have done an expedition in there, and you go in there and the story gets absolutely bananas. I'm just going to go ahead and get into it because I don't know if any of you are going to play it, but the father of one of the characters that becomes your friend in this is actually artificial intelligence. He died down there in Area 1. He created a time machine, and there's paradox Pokemon that have been introduced to the Paldea region, and these Pokemon are from the future. So I played Pokemon Violet. The Pokemon were from the future. That was robots. If you played Pokemon Scarlet, the Pokemon were from the past, and they were dinosaurs. Yes, this game gets nuts towards the end. It is outstanding. The one issue that people had with this game had nothing to do with the actual game itself. It was the fact that the Nintendo Switch is now a dated console and the refresh rates could not keep up. So you could literally drive into a Pokemon that wasn't even there. So, like, for context, right? I had a Pokemon use Dig. He never came back. And so there was, like, glitches like that because the hardware of the console couldn't keep up.
Escaped your ass.
That sounds real. That sounds like DB Cooper Pokemon.
I've had a blast. I'm currently trying to catch them all. I'm like 370 into the 400. So highly recommend. Pokemon games are always a lot of fun. You don't really have to think too much unless you really want to get into it and battle competitively online and have the perfect individual values on all your Pokemon, level 100, try to win the championship that way. But overall, great game. So I'll throw it to you, Luigi.
For me, I've got 2 picks. One I'm not even done with, but I like it that much. And I'm going to be honest, I know why I didn't win Game of the Year. It really is a lot of the same things, but they expanded on all the good things that they had about it. It's God of War Ragnarok. There's not much else to say. If you've played the first one, this one is more of the same thing, but in the best ways possible. They've really expanded on the game, and they've cleaned up some of the things that weren't so smooth about it. So it's perfecting the original. I had a blast with the original, so I'm having a blast with this one too.
All right, and then the next one.
So this one, all of us have played this one, I'm pretty sure, and it is still since I was what? Not even as a child, Nick? Oh, no wonder you're a sad boy. You're a sad boy. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. This is pretty much a remake of the original arcade games. I used to be obsessed with it. I remember throwing like $25 into one of those arcade machines just to beat the whole game. It was a blast, and it was just going back and revisiting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that.
This is part 2 to that. This one's part 2 to that.
Oh, so it's not a remake. Okay. But yeah, I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, it was cool because you get to play multiplayer with your friends online. So that was awesome when we did that a couple times.
And it's super easy to download. It's like a gig. You can play with Casey Jones, April O'Neil, the Turtles, and Splinter. Just a lot of fun. You can get up to 6 people at once, and I highly don't recommend it. That shit was bananas to try to keep track of your character, but it's a lot of fun. Side scroller, beat 'em up style. If you've ever played those, then you know what you're in store for.
That one in the Simpsons arcade game, those were the best.
Awesome.
Yeah. I preferred the X-Men one.
Oh, touche.
That was dope too.
Yeah. All right, Jason, go ahead.
For me, I'm gonna go with High on Life, and it's a first-person shooter game from the creators of Rick and Morty, Justin Roiland. And I just like the interaction. Like, it's just a lot of dialogue that's really fun. The gameplay itself, it's as a first-person shooter game, it's not that great. I'm gonna be completely honest, but like the interactions that you have with the NPCs are pretty dope, and it's hilarious. For me, I'm just playing it for the story mode and just the interaction with all these characters. It's hilarious. Highly recommend it. And lastly, I'm gonna go with Fall Guys. It's like the mini games for Mario Party, but you get to play with your online with your friends, and it's a knockout stage. You just got to make it to the finish line. But it's just so fun to play with your friends, your nephews. It's a very kid-friendly game, available on Game Pass. It's ready to eat for everyone, and it was just fun. It's a good time to play with friends. You don't have to be good at it in order to just hang out with your friends and just talk shit to each other and just laugh and bullshit.
It's the perfect game to drink and play with your friends because you don't really have to think very hard on it. So, so that brings us to 8 total editions. Nick, I added Firewatch since you opened with that one. I know that you really only wanted Wordle, but that's just more for the posterity of the podcast. So let's go ahead and narrow this down to one choice. If we had to give one, we have to give one roomie out. What game are we giving it to?
I'd say Fall Guys.
I'd say Fall Guys.
I could live with Fall Guys.
I'm okay with Fall Guys.
All right, Fall Guys it is. Awesome game. Super simple. You know, I haven't played the new God of War yet. I'm waiting for it to go on sale because I'm a cheap bastard. But I know that game is going to be awesome. But I feel like for best video game, you should go with ones that are multiplayer, not just first player. That's just me personally. Let's go ahead and get into best podcasts. I'll go first. Mine's Variant the Podcast. This was a YouTube channel that eventually started a podcast. It's all nerd everything. They deep dive comic storylines. They talk about what's coming out movie-wise. They do a lot of just all things superhero related. 2 very knowledgeable individuals. One of them actually wrote a comic book just recently that had a very classic feel, an homage to kind of early DC stuff where Superman meant hope and things of that nature. You know, more colors, not all doom and gloom all the time, and it's told from the perspective of journalists. I don't know why I'm going into this to the comic book. I'm gonna stop there. But the podcast is dope. If you love the nerd stuff,
check out the podcast if you want to learn about his comic.
Yeah, exactly. Luigi, go ahead.
All right, so for me, it's going to be The Big Hit Show. It just came out this year. Every couple months, he will come out with a new set. It started off, I know this is going to be random, but it started off with Twilight, and he did a deep dive on the Twilight films / books and the fandom behind it, even the backlash to the movies. And then he went into a whole season on Fight Club, the movie and book. Then he did a whole thing on Pokemon. I'm waiting for his next one. Every single one is a great deep dive into random different subjects and gives you so many details behind the scenes of how they were made, how they were almost not made, what the minds behind some of these ideas were. For example, the To Pimp a Butterfly, the season on To Pimp a Butterfly was just fantastic, just going behind the scenes with the creators on these songs and hearing what Kendrick had to say on some of the things that he did for his album. It's really, really fun to listen to.
That sounds pretty interesting. I'm looking it up right now. That's why I stopped talking. All right, go ahead, Jason. Tell us what your favorite podcast for the year is.
I'm going to go with the Fantasy Footballers. It's just about 3 guys just kind of giving you advice on what to do with waiver wires and just who to pick, draft, and they're just year-round type of guys, and they're also pretty funny. They helped me a lot, either lose or win, and it's all opinion based, right? At the end of the day, it's all luck, but I just love listening to them, and it's just a nice, on the way to work and on the way from work to going back home to listen to.
I could second Jason. That's a great podcast. They crack me up. It's literally 3.
They do.
They started the podcast on their own fantasy league, and it just became bigger and bigger and bigger. And now all they do is talk about fantasy football. So good for them. Nick, looks like you have 3 choices here, so we'll go ahead and get into those. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I have 2 podcasts that I listen to on a general basis, and anytime you can get me to sit down and listen to a podcast on a general basis, that's pretty good. So the first one is 2 Bears, 1 Cave that features Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura. When one of them is not present, they normally bring on their comedian friends. It's just like a wholesome, funny. It's like a turn your brain off and just kind of laugh podcast. The other one is one by a comedian named Tim Dillon. It's called The Tim Dillon Experience. That one's a little bit more thought-provoking and political, but he is so over the top. He's a big, fat, gay comedian who kind of like toes the line. Who's very politically and culturally savvy, but does this kind of exaggeration of he plays a maybe he doesn't even play a character, but he's from the Hamptons in New York. He's from Long Island, I believe, and it's so funny to listen to him. I included a bonus thing in here. If you have not heard, I know there's a lot of opinions on the Joe Rogan Experience. You need to listen to Joe Rogan, their Sober October episode. So this is Joe Rogan. This is the beginning of November after Joe Rogan, the two comedians I mentioned, Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura, and their other comedian friend, Ari Shafir, have done an entire month of competing and not drinking alcohol or smoking. And they basically get on a podcast, drink, smoke, and just bullshit for 3.5 hours. And it is literally like every experience I've had with my friends where you don't see each other for a while and you just get back together and you just drink and smoke and talk shit and do dumb stuff. This last one that they did a push-up contest. Like on air. They did a push-up contest because Joe Rogan thought he could double Bert Kreischer's push-ups. And it's a very entertaining episode to listen to because it's like sitting around with your idiot friends.
Spoil it for us. Did he double it?
He did not double it, no.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so we have what is that? 6 choices. Big Hit Show, Fantasy Footballers, Two Bears, One Cave, Tim Dillon Experience, JRE, just the one episode in the variant podcast. To be honest, never heard the Big Hit Show, so it's probably going to be one of Nick's or Jason's for me. The Two Bears, One Cave, I think is hysterical. And I haven't heard the Sober October episode, so. Has anyone listened to the Fantasy Footballers? No? No? I think they deserve the love that Jason gave them, but I think we're going to go with Two Bears, One Cave. Does anyone disagree with that?
No, do not.
No?
I'll say sure. Why not? Yeah, put that in there, Jermaine.
I mean, the way you guys explained it, it sounded awesome. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to it now.
So do you guys know? Yeah, I mean, you know those comedians, right? You know those two comedians.
Bert Kreischer is the guy who takes his shirt off.
He did. Yep. He did the machine, Luigi.
Yeah.
No,
right.
No. That's
dude,
what I was looking for, Luigi.
He's funny. He's on the Joe Rogan.
Do you like stand up?
Do you like to laugh, Luigi? Do you like to have enjoyment in your life, or
are you dead inside?
I am not a sad boy. I am not a sad boy. Yes, I do enjoy.
He's the one where he said he was on a train with some Russians, right? And like they loved him so much.
The machine,
right? Yeah, the machine. Yeah, I love that guy, dude.
Yeah. So Luigi, if you haven't seen these comedians.
I'm
definitely
looking it up right now.
The sober,
Yeah.
definitely start. So what led me to Two Bears, One Cave and the Tim Dillon Experience is Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yep, same.
And the Sober October episode is what led me to Two Bears, One Cave because it's just like sitting around with your friends.
Yeah. I think it's great because it's just two really funny comedians trying to make each other laugh. And one of them recently gave the other one Nazi memorabilia, and the guy was just dead. Just could not stop laughing. It was hysterical.
So
all right, so let's go ahead and get into the best sports team. Go ahead, Luigi. Take it away.
Oh, it's best sports team? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong space. I apologize. I thought it was Argentina. After watching that World Cup final, Argentina, you can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, we'll be hard pressed. Jason, I see that you have Argentina and then you have another team as well.
Avalanche, man, what they did this year, and obviously listening to you guys' podcast. They had the chance last year. They couldn't do it, and they pulled it off this year. And all of Colorado is excited for it, right? Hopefully they can repeat.
Hey, Jason just became Nick's favorite.
Okay. I had to pick the Colorado Avalanche.
Hey,
I think they're
Denver.
the worst team. Because I thought I was going to get flack because, picking my team. I also said it is unprecedented what the Georgia Bulldogs did this last year to win the national championship.
So my question is, though, is that the 2021 Bulldogs or is that the 2022 Bulldogs?
Yes. What the University of Georgia has done in the year of 2022.
Got
they
you.
are undisputably the best team in college football.
And they should be in this conversation for best sports team. I was actually trying to think of which college teams won this year, and I couldn't do it. And well, first of all, I spent 2 minutes thinking about it because I don't really fuck with college sports anymore. I have a fundamental war at large right now with the NCAA, and I will not acquiesce. But the Georgia Bulldogs absolutely deserve to be on this list. My submission is the dead in the water, never going to be good. Steph Curry's a bum. Klay Thompson's washed. Draymond Green ain't got it no more. Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors went on to win the NBA championship despite no one thinking they can do it. Everyone picked the darling Lakers. Everyone picked the darling Brooklyn Nets. Both teams floundered and squandered away in obscurity as the Golden State Warriors played 7 minutes with their true starting lineup during the regular season. Ladies and gentlemen, there's 82 games in the regular season, 48 minutes minimum. They played 7 minutes with Kevon Looney, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry. They still won the National Basketball Association's championship. Let me say that again. For those of you who have been watching the NFL season, for those of you who listen to Nick and I bitch about teams not being able to train before, the starting lineup for the Golden State Warriors played 7 minutes together and won the NBA championship in the playoffs. That is truly unfucking believable. It's inconceivable that a team with that chemistry, or lack thereof, I should say, they hadn't played together in ages because Klay Thompson's been out for 2 years. Steph Curry got hurt. Draymond Green has been hurt. And they still won the NBA championship, and nobody thought they could. They beat the darling Boston Celtics and the Black Mamba reincarnated Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think this Golden State Warriors team is going to go down as one of the most impressive feats in sports. Now,
It was impressive.
Now we have to make a decision. Argentina is a great choice. Georgia Bulldogs are a great choice. Golden State Warriors are a great choice. But this is podcast Room 303, and there's only one obvious choice on this table. I am going to say we're going with the Colorado Avalanche. Does anyone disagree?
Nope.
This is where you say yes, Luigi.
I don't watch, so I'm sorry.
Oh, you should, man. It's like soccer, but on ice.
No, nothing against hockey. I just
But you can punch people in the face when they make you angry. And
instead of people just falling to the floor and dying.
Yeah, you only yeah, it's actually the quite opposite. People refuse to fall to the floor when they probably should die.
Teeth are flying, blood's pouring. I won't go down.
I'm
damn
not
it!
gonna fucking leave the game.
We got to take you to a Dallas Stars. That's the closest one to you, right?
Yeah, I would not mind at all. I'd be super down to go.
And
Nothing
the Dallas
against
Stars
hockey.
are pretty good right now. So.
Moms.
Yeah.
Just because they're in the same division. Yeah, it's obviously the Colorado Avalanche. Argentina probably second, even though what Golden State did was amazing to me. But yeah, you can't go wrong with any of these choices. This was a stacked category. Great teams that were submitted for this. I'm shocked no one picked the Phoenix Mercury, though. All right, let's go ahead and get into the best sports moment. And we'll let Luigi kick it off here.
So this one's a personal one for me. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of basketball this year, but I did get to watch Luka Doncic dispatch the Suns after all the shit they were talking about him when he was sick. So it was really great to watch them just go down in flames, pun intended.
The Suns are the most hated team in all of sports right now. Yes or yes?
No.
Fuck the Suns, bro.
Who's the most hated? Nick? The internet hates the Phoenix Suns, like collectively. I've never seen unity on the internet like the hate for the Phoenix Suns. So who are you nominating?
Fuck the Red Wings.
Oh my God, they're not even good.
Good.
Get the fuck out of here.
This is when we must keep up the Prince brothers. Do not let our children forget how bad the Red Wings are. Fuck them.
The who?
Exactly.
They play in Montana, right?
They should be disbanded as a hockey franchise.
Operation Red Wing?
Ooh.
Ooh. All right, Jason, go ahead. Give us your pick.
It has to be
You're the
the
lone
best
survivor
game of
on
all
this.
time ever, right? It's going to be the FIFA World Cup finale.
Yeah.
Argentina versus France.
Yeah. If you go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Like, if Argentina would have lost, I would have been happy for you and Eric. Although Eric's an Italy fan, but I would have been happy for you guys. So. But I'm just glad, like you said, I'm just glad Messi got one, but also not to be forgotten, Di Maria, man. He was the man of the match in the first 60 minutes of that game before they pulled him out.
Yeah, and then he had to sit there on the bench, just going through it, bro. Just
Stressing.
going through it, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Di Maria fan. Nick and I had him on Football Manager when we took over PSG. He was our super sub. He did dirty in the 2014 World Cup. He tore his hamstring, couldn't play. Germany got the default championship because Argentina was hurt. Fake title, if you ask me. All right, Nick, go ahead.
I can't. This one I'm gonna do Homer. It's the Avs winning the Stanley Cup. I was there for Game 5.
Fuck you. You ruined my bet.
And they couldn't pull it out, which was very upsetting. But this is the first time in a very long time that I have cried. Actual tears.
Oh, I love that.
And it was watching it. Unfortunately, I had to fly back for work, so I had to watch the clinching game in my apartment in DC. But just being in Colorado, being the atmosphere there, it's such a fierce town in terms of supporting their teams, and especially the Avs, who have been great and have not been great for a while. And then for so many years, or basically the last 4 years, have been right on the precipice of greatness.
The precipice?
Precipice. and just to see him win it is I have
no words. All right, quick question. The fans are curious. Were you crying out your eyes or your dick?
yes. Jewel.
All right. I have Golden State Warriors cementing their greatness as a dynasty with an unexpected 4th championship in 8 years. See my previous retort with the 7 minutes during the regular season. I don't know if you understand how crazy that is, because basketball is poetry, emotion, it's chemistry. It's all about timing. So I nominate them. I think the clear-cut answer here, though. All great choices, and I love Luigi slandering the Suns. I'm all for it. The Suns are hated, and it's amazing. But it's the World Cup final.
It's a World Cup final. We can't
It has to be.
we can't say something is the
that's
greatest
amazing.
game of all time and then not
Yeah.
choose it.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, look, I won't, when I was trying to cut Jason off because I'm an asshole, but I was going to say, like, I'm not going to get into this game, but if you want to hear our thoughts on this game, just watch our World Cup review episode. We get into it pretty heavy, and,
Very
just
emotional.
my adoration for that game just as a whole. And, man, if only France could have got it.
I'm part of the way through on that
I'll
episode.
say this,
That's a good
Jermaine.
one.
Doncic beating the Suns by fucking over 30, and just being here in Arizona and seeing them, all the fans that were like, because I was there when I was at the playoff game. It was my first playoff game, and the Suns blew out the Lakers by 35, and everyone was like saying "fuck you" right in my face, dude. And I just couldn't say anything. It was like, no, you're right. You guys beat us. They're like, fuck you, blah blah blah. We're going to the final. I was like, fuck you guys. AD got hurt, whatever. But you know what? I took it in like a man. I didn't talk shit back because I was like, they were right. We lost. And seeing that moment of the Dallas Mavericks in Game 7, blowing them out by like 35 plus. Bittersweet, dude.
And Luka Doncic with that swagger the whole time too. I was like, man, this is great.
I love it, dude.
When you bust their ass and you let them know as you're busting their ass, bro, it's special. It's special when you do that.
That's why I love the NBA, because you can see their emotions. There's no helmets hiding behind it, just like soccer, and you can just talk shit all you want because you're cooking them. Oh, it's beautiful.
It really is amazing. It really is. It really is. All right, so the last category, we only have 2 submissions. Jason and Luigi don't read. Their words, not mine. One of them educates the youth of America, so you take that with the grain of salt that you wish.
Go fuck yourself, Jermaine.
It's my running joke. It's like the one thing I bust Luigi's balls about. Nick, go ahead and get into your book, and then I'll get into my book, and we'll wrap this episode.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of books this year because I read a lot. It's just, it's just something that like I'm really into. It's just like being like really smart and like muscular and stuff like that. No, so I do love. For me, you're not gonna beat a good paperback book. I have not had the time that I wanted to put into it. I have not made an effort to read paperback books, so I get a lot of my books on Audible. If you do have the American Express Platinum card,
that's not reading. That's not reading. I just want to jump in and say that. That's not
reading. How would you know? You've never read in your life.
Right.
Bitch, I didn't say I never read.
Listen. Putting subtitles on is not literature.
It is fine art.
All right. So the book, my favorite book, is a book called Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. If that name sounds familiar, Neil Gaiman does Good Omens. He does American Gods. He does a couple of other books. He's a fantastic author.
Sandman.
He's Sandman. Thank you. He actually, if you listen to the audiobook of this, he basically retells classic Norse stories. And in the audiobook, he actually does all the dialogue, or he does the whole audiobook, but he does dialogue, and he puts like the own like Neil Gaiman character spin on these like kind of old and boring Norse stories. He just kind of puts some extra energy into it. It's a very good listen.
Yeah, I've heard good things about this one. I'm probably going to get it now. Contrary to Nick, I've not listened to an audiobook, so I don't know if I like it or dislike it. I think it really just depends on the person reading it to you. So that's always the issue that you're going to run into. But I definitely love. Sorry. Go ahead, Luigi. You got a comment?
Just to add in about Neil Gaiman, he's actually Amazon's going to be doing another show on one of his properties called the Anansi Boys, which is based on Anansi, the African god. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of Neil Gaiman too.
This dude is just making money hand over fist right now.
American Gods. I didn't watch the show, but the book was amazing. The
show is so bad.
It's bad?
It's so bad.
You're really mad about it.
I love, because that you can take that book and you can put it into a show so easy. Just take the goddamn book. And it was just awful. They tried to put their own friggin' creative flair on it. It was like, no, stop.
Stop.
Don't Walking Dead it. Just take the graphic novels and make it into a moving picture show for me. Make pictures talk. That's all I want.
This book was not released this year, but I read it this year. So therefore I'm submitting it for this year. I feel like books, you have that leeway because sometimes you don't hear about the books until the year of when you actually read it. So This book in particular is called Shoe Dog, and it's the memoirs of Phil Knight. If you don't know who Phil Knight is the founder of a little small company called Nike. And it tells his story from him graduating with a finance degree and going to work for a finance firm, not realizing it's for him, deciding to travel the world. And while he's traveling the world, he goes to Japan. And this is Japan post-World War II. And he describes Japan post-World War II, kind of the things he saw there, the interactions he had with them. And then he returned, and he has a great conversation with the shoe company who's very desperate to try to get into the American market. And, you know, from there, long story short, he starts to, you know, build up Nike as it is. And he tells the story of Nike from its infancy to what we all know Nike as now. Nike is technically considered a luxury fashion brand now. If you've recently tried to buy a pair of sneakers of theirs, you definitely understand that because the prices are drastically exorbitant. You know, now it's apparel and it's sponsorships for professional athletes and it's Jordan and Jumpman. And so just seeing that, and he is an outstanding storyteller. He paints a very good picture. It's very vivid with the words. He can explain how he felt in certain situations, and it comes across the page without becoming campy or dry or anything like that. I just thought it was a very fascinating read, and to see insight and learn from someone who is that successful, I always, enjoy thoroughly. So that's why I'm nominating this one. I also read Showtime, what the Showtime Lakers HBO Max series was based off of. I bought that book, read that one. A Blood in the Garden, the New York Knicks story. I read the, I think it's called Sing About Me, but it's someone wrote a book dissecting Kendrick Lamar's lyrics and explaining why it's poetry. All fantastic books, all highly recommended. But yeah, that's where we're at with this. So since there's only 2 submissions, Nick, do you want the roomie or do I want the roomie?
How many roomies do you have so far?
I don't know. Let's see. So Jason got the FIFA finale. You got Colorado. You got
no books.
we can give it to both.
to subtitles.
Yeah, to subtitles, exactly. So, actually, yeah, I only got 1 roomie so far. I'm giving it to Phil Knight. Shoe Dog, Phil Knight. Especially since you haven't even finished your book.
Yo, J-Man.
What's up, bro?
Wait, what do you mean I haven't finished my book?
Didn't Phil Knight appear?
Yeah, I'm finished with it, yeah.
Series, The Winning Time?
You know what? I don't know what Phil Knight looks like. So I can look that up, though. Let's see. Was Phil Knight?
Yeah, well, he went up to Magic Johnson in the show, right? And he's like, hey, we can give you this much money if you sign with Nike, but he ended up going with Converse or shit like that.
You mean
it was just like a quick
character.
Like 10 seconds.
You mean the character Phil Knight?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, the character was in it. I thought you
sir.
meant the actual Phil Knight. I thought you meant
no.
real life Phil Knight, and I was just like, I don't know, bro. He's old as shit. Look at that. Was Phil Knight an athlete? Yeah, so he was a runner in college, and that was kind of where he went. He kind of found this love for running shoes because that's what Nike started as a running shoe company, but it obviously has evolved and become something much, much bigger. But yeah, I can't say enough. I think that's a fantastic book. I recommend it to everyone. I think it's a great read. But I think that brings us to the end. Let's recap the roomies here real quick. So, for best movie, we gave it to Top Gun Maverick. For best show, we gave it to The Bear, the FX/Hulu original. Best album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, Kendrick Lamar. narrowly beating out Midnight by Taylor Swift. We have Glimpse of Us by Joji. That is the song of the Roomie for best song. Roomie for best artist is Bad Bunny. The Roomie for best video game is Fall Guys. Roomie for best podcast is Two Bears, One Cave. The Roomie for best sports team is Colorado Avalanche. Roomie for best sports moment is the FIFA World Cup finale, Argentina versus France. And Roomie for best book is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. Those are our 10 categories. And that's all we have for this episode. I appreciate you guys coming on. Do you guys have anything else for the listeners?
No, not really. Just check us out on Revenge of the Pod. That's about it.
Where can they listen to you?
You can check us out on Spotify. We're hoping to make the move to Apple Podcasts as well fairly soon.
Okay, sounds good. You heard that here. Revenge of the Pod on Spotify. For all you Spotify listeners, give them a shout out, give them a check, like, follow, subscribe, tell them how much they suck. That's my favorite thing to do. Nick, you got anything else for listeners?
Nah, bro.
All right. Follow Room303 on Instagram and Twitter at Podcast Room 303. And we'll see you next time when you come on down and step into the room.